Hey kids, welcome back to Off the Wagon. It's been a gazillion years, and we had a little hiatus. I got lost in the green room. With me on this very first episode back is incredible writer and editor of Fearless Poetry Scene, Kevin Hibshman. Got his name right. Kevin, how the hell are you?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Well, I'm alive.
You know
So
what?
that any day I'm alive is pretty okay, man. God, it's been forever, man, and it's like yeah, the thing is that there was an episode tape where I'd interviewed a long time ago, but I screwed the fucking recording up, or I was screwed up, or whatever. That's no big surprise, but yeah, finally sitting down and gonna talk all things literary and whatever the hell you want to talk. So, so,
All right.
man, I know it's been chaotic, man, but how are you doing overall?
I'm doing pretty good. I had most of June and July off of work, so that was cool. And I tried to get some writing done during that period. Yeah, and hung out with the folks on the 4th of July, so that was cool because I'm now about an hour away from them. So they used to be right next door, so that was kind of nice. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
stuff. You know.
Well, it's always good to hang out, man. But well, hell, man, let's just get on with the show and talk all these things literary, and because that's what people are just dying to hear about. Uh, but
Give them what they want.
well, yeah, man, give it to them. Just go ahead, and I mean, I think we're talking about writing, but God, man. So I'll just start with a stock question, man, that I do everybody, but why not? Because everybody wants to hear this anyways. Um, and so where did it all start with you, man, when you finally got the bug to start writing?
Yeah, it started when I was a teenager, like maybe around 13, 14, and it came to me wanting to write came to me from listening to like rock music. I wanted to write song lyrics, and I wasn't really thinking about poetry or anything like that. I just wanted to write really cool song lyrics, like some of the people that I admired and listened to.
Yeah, I mean, I know damn well music's a huge thing for you, and especially well, I know a couple of the albums that are really big. As hell, you've written about them. So,
Many
I know. Yeah,
times.
Patti Smith was a big one,
Yep.
obviously.
Yeah. That actually, she was actually the catalyst for me actually starting to take it somewhat more seriously. Because I got her album Easter when it came out. That was the first one I knew by her, and I got that, and I
Mhm.
was like, wow, I didn't know much about her, so I only knew the single was Because of the Night, which was for
Mhm.
her, her only straightforward rock song. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but that was not indicate that didn't indicate what she was really like. I had no idea about the poetry and shit. And then I found
Yeah.
out shortly after that, she makes references to her book Babel in the liner notes, all over the Easter thing. You got that cool little booklet. And I thought, I got to get this book because like this woman is crazy, and I'm loving this. It really was it was an open door. It was a door somewhere I hadn't gone, and I thought I got to find out. So I got the book, and then that just kind of really did it. I started looking into the writers that she had been into, like Burroughs and
Yeah.
uh, Rambo and all those French people and stuff. And I started to try to figure out, how to do. I wanted to do that. At first, I really wanted to do that sort of real image heavy visionary style, that almost hallucinatory. I wanted to do that.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, she really kicked it off for me in a serious way. I tried to write little love poems and shit like we all do, I guess, at a certain age. You know what I mean? When we're kids,
Yeah.
I think almost everybody, like, I've written a poem. Here's a poem for you, and you give it to your mom or your boyfriend or girlfriend or something like that. But then I
Hmm.
started, I realized like, this is pretty cool. And Jim Morrison never really inspired me that much. He was there on the sidelines, and I knew enough about the Doors to know that he was considered a poet and a writer and stuff. But she was the one that
Yeah.
kickstarted into my own thing.
Yeah, she was wild, man. And yeah, like you said, that song, well, I mean, because the night was written by Bruce Springsteen, it
Right,
gave her that commercial record. And,
right.
but yeah, her, Patty was wild, man.
She was. There was
That,
nothing quite like her. There's absolutely nothing quite like her, especially in 19 like well that came out in 78, but my mind was kind of blown. I'm like, there's someone out there actually doing this wild combination of reading stanzas of poetry in the middle of the rock song, and her whole approach was just so interesting.
well, I mean, also, man, I mean, I have to ask, because, I mean, knowing you like I do, I mean, did that also influence you going into music? Because, I mean, you were definitely a musician. You've definitely been in bands, and you're a lead singer. So it's like, did you ever have that, like, thing where you're like conflicted by one you want to be in more than the other, or they both go hand in hand, so to speak?
Actually, I kept them apart. They never
Hmm.
really ever went hand in hand. I actually, like most of us, I think, I got into the music thing first. Like, it was Alice Cooper and Kiss and so forth
Yeah.
in the early '70s. Before that whole punk thing, before I knew about any of that, and the literary side of that. So, I was just kind of into the rock and roll at the time. And then
Yeah.
when I had my own bands, I never really I wanted to write good lyrics. I wanted to at least try to say something, something that mattered more than just I love you, let's get it on type of thing. Though there's nothing wrong with that in the right context, but so but I never really found it's one thing. It's incredibly difficult to make lyrics poetry or to use a poem as lyrics. It's really, really hard because you have to make it fit the music. And I've heard other people say this. You have to make it fit the tune, the melody. You have to also, you don't want the imagery to be too, like a song is very short usually, so you have to,
Yeah.
it's really tough. So I never really tried. I tried to write good song lyrics for my bands and be unique about it, but I never tried to make myself a poet within the band. I was just the singer lyricist, and that was okay, because I planned on doing my own writing on the side. I'd already started doing that.
Yeah. How long were you in bands, man? How many have you been in?
Well,
They
I've
don't
met.
really talk about it that often. So it's
I,
got me curious as well.
yeah, I actually was only in two proper bands. The first one we called Universal Radio, and we did a lot of covers, but we did sprinkle our own stuff, our own songs in there too. And then the second one, I wanted to be a completely original band. I didn't want any of that cover band stuff.
Hmm.
And that band was called Bliss, and that would have been in the let's see, I think all of that happened between maybe 19. Ooh, I think we were still in the 80s, so it might have been 1989 through 1991. It was a very, very short period of time, to be honest. Now I got to play around a lot because both of those bands were pretty active, for being
Yeah.
underground. We were definitely underground. I wanted to be, I kind of wanted to be a punk band. Everybody else wanted to be. Well, the first band they wanted to be like they wanted to play like Aerosmith and I'm
Yeah.
not knocking that, but that wasn't my style at all. That wasn't. So I kind of wanted to do. I wanted to do um, punk rock. I wanted to make it street level stuff. I'd already discovered people like X and the Ramones, in addition to Patty there. So, they were kind of into it, kind of not. So my second band, you know what though? My second band was cool because it was almost like I was able to take my love for glam rock and put it in. Like there was a definite T-Rex element to the lyrics I wrote for that one, and I'm still kind of proud of that. The first one, not so much, but the second one, we could have done something cool if we would have had the time.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's fucking. Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry, man. I didn't mean to talk you.
long-winded. Sorry about that.
Mm. No, it's about you, man. It's about hanging out and talking about your work, man. That's what this is about. It's also relaxed. I mean, obviously, I drink enough for both of us, so you don't have to drink on this show. I'll do all the drinking for you. But
Okay. You know what? I'll appreciate that a lot tomorrow morning, dude.
yeah, I know your liver couldn't handle it, Phil. It's, no. Well, the other thing I want to talk about, man, is when did you get the idea to start one of my absolute favorite magazines that's ever existed in the poetry scene? When did you get the idea to start up Fearless? How'd that all come about?
Okay. Well, first, thanks. I'm really happy that you dug it. But that came about. I did it. The first zine that I ever did and actually distributed was called Disturbing Dreams and Dried Blood, and
Mm-hmm.
it was gonna be in. There were two local record stores at the time where I lived that you could, they would distribute it for you. You could put it there, and you could even charge, something for it. And
That's
so
cool.
that first variation was supposed to be kind of a music and literary thing, but it was. I found that I ended up only wanting it to be literary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I don't know why. I really don't know why, because as much as I love music, but I just wanted it to be a poetry zine. So I did actually about maybe 15 issues of the first one, and then I changed the name and changed the whole concept to just feature poets, from wherever.
Yeah. I mean
So
it's yeah, that is
yeah,
an awesome magazine, man. I mean, like I said, I have such a hard time hearing. I'm deaf as shit, so you can tell me to shut up. But it's just an awesome magazine that yeah, I won't I know that you list on your Facebook former editor. I'm like, no, you're still the editor, man. I still have hopes that will come back. Even though I know it probably exhausts you.
yeah. It's interesting that you said that, because I was just going to say never. I have
Mhm.
not buried, I have never buried that zine. So there is, because shit, I'm getting old, man, and I'm going to have to retire. What am I going to fucking do when I retire? I'll bring Fearless back somehow, right?
Hey man, I mean, it's hell running any magazine, and then to run it consistently like you did, it's just like Jesus Christ. I mean, you've seen it all change. I mean, when you started, it was a print where you're putting it together. I mean, how, dude? I mean, look, this is an unfiltered thing. How have you seen everything change, man? Is it changed for good or bad from when you've been dealing where you were just doing physical copies of the mag to where you moved it to the digital world?
Okay. Well, I'm tempted to say, well, the truth is, yeah, if I'm going to be honest, it's a little bit of both, because I resented the change at first, when everything
Mhm.
kind of, when the zines started to disappear with print zines, and the real DIY shit started to go, at least in
Yeah.
my circle, it did anyway. Um, I really kind of resented that, but then, I always had to do everything. There was no money. I've never had any money
Yeah.
from any art projects.
Like there's money now.
Right. Less than ever, man. Less than ever. Where did all
Oh, shit.
where did all those grants go? those grant opportunities aren't coming my way or your way. So yeah, sorry to make it short.
Yeah, no, there's.
It's a little bit of both. I have to say that as much as social media, can be a real, real
Hmm.
detriment to your health, it also is an outlet. Like I wouldn't have been able to continue talking to other writers or have my work appear anywhere for a while. If it hadn't have been for Facebook. And I did put stuff on MySpace, but let's not bring that up. But you know what I mean? Like, so it's good that it's there, and then like when it got a little pricey to always mail out the print zines, because I was also mailing it quite a few to other countries. And that's a real pain in the ass trying to mail. You know what it's like to try to mail to other countries when you got to go down to the post office, international for all that stuff. So that was,
Yeah.
So to make it available as a PDF, in some ways, even though I like the print format better because I like anything that's like a real book. I want it to be as real as it can. Something concrete that you can hold is always preferable. But by the same token, when you don't have the budget, it's nice to just be able to have that PDF option, and you can put it up, and anybody, all the contributors can get it that way. They can download it if they choose, and anyone can read it at all. Just go and
Yeah.
So I'd say it's a little bit of both. It's been a real learning experience all the way through, and yeah.
I mean, I kind of wondered about that, man. Do you think? I mean, like you said, you kind of resented it. Do you think a lot of people, because there seems to be a lot of people, there's a lot of hate for the fucking online zines and stuff. I should know, for the online things from a lot of people who seem to prefer to do things, the older way. I understand, doing up books, stapling them and all that. I'm not like putting that down. I joke about it, but I joke about everything, if you know me. And some people just seem to get butthurt about every fucking thing nowadays. So, but it's like,
Yeah, so
huh?
that's an unfortunate thing that's happening in our society for a while now. Get the fuck
Mm-hmm.
over it. Get a fucking sense of humor, man. It makes things easier in the long run. But
It's
yeah,
becoming an endangered species. Humor really
yeah,
is.
it is.
In the lit
And
scene, I've seen it die. Basically, humor's not
yeah,
needed in any, unless it's
it's
humor. And then go ahead, man. I'm sorry, I'm over talking.
see, this is what happens when we don't get to talk to each other for a while, man. It's like we just
Yeah, I know.
want to spar.
Well, dude, it's just like I want the show to be like how we talk, not like that just happens to be recorded. That's
Sure.
how I've always wanted to do this. And there's a lot of people, and like I said, dude, don't worry about this. I'll take the flag. I'm just not gonna kiss people's ass and bullshit. I used to come on and try to interview people real proper, but I've been in this shit long enough that it's made me. Well, I was already not playing with a full deck, and I'm just like. But no, that's what I was really wanting to get back to is like because I mean you knew a lot of other people who were doing magazines I know, and was there really a lot of like resistance at first to kind of cross on over to the digital format and everything, because it just
Well,
seems like there's a lot of people that hate it,
yeah, for my personal experience, the thing is that when I started getting published in people's zines and stuff, it was kind of like a fluke. It started for me. I didn't take it that seriously at first. I didn't think anybody at all would ever get into it, and I thought like I certainly didn't know what I was doing at all then.
Yeah.
um, so that I had this really lovely supportive circle of people that just came out of the woodwork, and they would
Yeah.
see, some of them through Fearless, and then some of them actually, like my stuff. A lot of it, both. That was fortunate, but I had this real circle. We considered ourselves friends, and we were very supportive of each other's work, and always trying to promote each other any way we could. And that whole thing just completely died. I mean, it
Yeah.
disappeared overnight. And unfortunately, a lot of those people that I knew have died. Actually, there's quite a few deaths. Um,
Yeah.
and then some, I don't know why, but some dropped out of the scene completely, utterly stopped writing, and even stopped appearing anywhere on any format. So that whole thing just died. And then I thought, man, I don't know, because those, I was getting my stuff published in every issue of some of those people's things. So
Yeah.
like it was a great time for me. You can imagine it was like, wow,
Hmm.
every you know every week I've got a poem in somebody's zine or whatever, or there's a broadside, you name it. And they were
Yeah.
actually, people were asking me constantly for work. Hey, send us, I'm doing this, send me something. Or
Yeah.
I can you believe that, man? How it's changed? Like I had a couple editors like, I'm starting to do books. I want to do a book with you. Send me a manuscript. And I didn't even have enough material to halfway keep up with that shit sometimes. But it was such a great time, and that whole thing just completely,
Hmm.
utterly, disappeared, much to my chagrin, because we all know what it's like now, and now it's like a contest. Everything's like a contest. That I just can't deal with that. That's so stupid.
I I agree, man, and like compliments to what I read today. Once to me really talked about what we're talking about right now, man.
Yeah,
It just
I
seems
was
like go ahead, bro.
sorry, John. I'll let you talk
Mm,
too. I promise.
mm,
Yeah. Well, this morning I was in a bad mood. I woke up kind of just in one of those fuck it's Sunday type things, and then
yeah.
it was kind of it was dark and dreary, and then I all of a sudden I just got hit by this. I don't feel that it's really hard for any of us, I think, right now to really
Yeah.
feel happy about much. You know what I mean? Like we're now happiness has turned into just trying to survive. You're just happy that you're surviving. It's not that it's like the difference between existing and living. They're two different things.
Yes. Yes. Completely get it.
Yeah, yeah. Just like surviving is not really
Mhm,
living. Surviving is that's two different things. So, and that
mhm.
just came out. And I had second thoughts about even putting that up because uh, people are so weird. And you had just mentioned how no one really has humor. Not that this one is not humorous, but they don't want. It seems like nowadays people don't want to think about anything. They're so used to memes and so used to commercials that
Yep.
unless you're writing that for a 2-second attention span, you might as well forget it. So I really didn't know how that would go over. It seems like my my lovely regulars are okay with it, but like you were saying, I just thought, screw that. This is exactly how I feel
Mhm.
at this moment. I might be happier later. I might change my mind, but like I'm allowed to change my mind. I don't have. I'm not going to turn out book after book. This one
Mhm.
nude. Who the hell lives that way? What kind of that's moronic.
Uh, it's very much about, I think things have gone to, at least even from my short time and things, um, I've seen it where it used to be a positive thing where it was kind of like everybody was for everybody getting somewhere. Then it became this very narcissistic bullshit where I think people started sniffing their own farts and they started believing all the bullshit that other people told them. And now it's just about the me bullshit. And it's about ego. It's all about fucking ego. And that's why I fucking hate it. And I don't make any qualms about hating it because I'm not going to win any popularity contest. Everything I did blew up in my face trying to help people. And I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about a lot of people that,
Well,
the minute I wasn't kissing their ass, I'm a piece of shit. So I can't stand it, man. It should be about art,
yes,
but it's becoming less and less about art and more about, oh, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't laugh at this, you can't and I don't give a fuck. a stand-up background. You don't you if people think comedians are rough on stage, they're 10 times meaner with each other. Like it's just vicious, you know? So it's like maybe that's part of why I'm such an asshole. I think I'm just naturally born good at it. But anyway, I think I've seen the way. I know it has to frustrate you because I know it gets to me. And
Yes,
so it's just like, you know, anyways,
the
that was
whole
I was a bunch of a preaching thing. Sorry.
no, it's true, and I was just gonna say I totally agree with that because now we have these little groups that form
Hmm.
around one individual who's been deemed omnipotent for some odd reason. And I don't I don't mean to I'm not trying to pull feathers here and I'm not trying to be an ass either, but the hard cold fact is
Yeah.
that's bullshit. And that's just bullshit because you're not going to it's rare that you're going to absolutely love every single
Hmm.
piece of work that one person does, or you might love it, but you're going to love other pieces more. You know what I'm saying? So, you're not being honest because as soon as you say anything, you have to either love every
Yes. Yeah.
thing about that person, or they'll try to cancel you. They'll just turn you right off. You just don't matter because
Hmm.
you're willing to worship their their idol, the poet they idolize. And I see this, and it really makes me kind of sick. Um,
Yeah.
get yeah, I think poets should love each other's work. I think they should celebrate them, even worship it. But this is two different things we're talking about. We're talking about control and manipulation, all kinds of bullshit. That
I
right?
think the politics are what's killing it. That's just my opinion. And it's become this toxic bullshit. I think what it is a lot of it comes from social media because we're so used to instant gratification. Put something up
Yeah.
and automatically. I know some people who throw a temper tantrum because they don't get 100 likes. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, get fucking real. Like, that's what your life is based on. Go out, party, get laid, drink. That's what life is about, not sitting around on fake. They just, and unfortunately, I think it became worse after lockdown and COVID because everybody was just stuck there and we're all, and, artists are all fucking nuts. I'm crazier than batshit. And you know me, so you know I am. But it's like it
I
just became too intense and it's not lightened up. People are and it's just they all think it's the politics of the writing scene needs to go away because we need to come to reality and quit pretending we're rock stars, we're
see
writers,
that's
and it's yeah,
I
that's just
don't
my opinion.
I don't want politics in my art. That's not to say
Mm,
you can't. That's not to say you can't express your political views. I tend to stick to more personal politics than whatever, because
yeah, yeah.
that other shit just either bores or depresses me or both. But yeah, I want art to be an escape from that stuff, from
Mm,
politics. I want it to be beautiful and strange, and we shouldn't be
yes.
worried anything other than what we write, and not having to please so and so or to kiss so and so's ass or to have to join this or that group. It's just really
uh,
childish.
yes. It is. It totally is, man. So let's stir the shit pot. Why not? I'll take all the flack. Uh, it's what is your opinion, man? Because I know you. One thing I always fucking admired, dude, is like because we've hung out and we've done a couple of things that have never aired, like where we I don't know. Apparently the host got really drunk. That son of a bitch. But yeah, no. I mean, one thing you can do really great is read. But like, there's
Oh,
become this thing now. It's like I think it's just like it used to be there was kind of publication writers and open micers and now it's just kind of like it's just kind of getting overblown. But what's your whole opinion of I mean, the difference to me, there is a huge difference between open mic poetry and writing for the page. And maybe there isn't one. So I'm just gonna ask you. So.
yeah. My opinion on that is there is definitely
Mhm.
a difference. between the two. Those are two different aspects.
Mm.
Because certain people might be performers, but they might not be writers.
Yes. Yeah.
And then and the thing is, I think when you're reading, if you're going to read your poetry, why would you want
Mm.
an Oscar? You're not trying to act. This is supposed to be the real shit. So just read it.
Yeah.
Like there's no need for all kinds of dumb theatrics, because when you're reading, and believe me, I've suffered through some of that myself, where I had to
Mm.
listen, bear witness to these. I won't even go into it,
Oh,
but it was awful.
yeah,
It was
you're
awful.
supposed to. That's what this is about, man. People want to hear it. Off the Wagon is not. And hey, no offense to our good brother, Michael Ingram. This is not quintessential. This is this is where the lunatics run the asylum, quite literally. Once when we go on that show, we both been there together. It does become like a lunatic asylum. But
That is that show. It makes me
mhm,
think of what Dolly said. You don't need drugs for that show. That show becomes drugs.
mhm, yeah.
He's
But I mean,
he's such
what
one.
you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Don.
No, we do this all the time. So people are going to think, "Oh man, John, you're well, I am an asshole." But it's like like I cannot hear worth a shit. Try to
Well,
listen to music all the time, and well, not. I don't mean like people think. I'm not talking about sitting around with your home stereo. I'm talking about being in clubs and shit like that. And I can't hear for crap. But no, I do agree the thing about the open mic. But I will say this, that there's plenty of publication writers that are not open micers because it is a different world. The people that
yeah,
really excel at that are more performance artists, and that's not knocking them, but they've
no,
got this thing they like to do, and it's different than what we do. I
yeah.
mean, it's just the truth. You know.
Just to further kind of elaborate on how I look at that, um, my opinion is that if I'm going to a poetry reading of any kind, if the written work is not there, no amount of posturing and acting is going to work. You have to have that first. So going up there and maybe trying to disguise your inability to write by trying to put on an Oscar-worthy performance, I can sense it right away. You can always tell. You can tell in someone's writing, firstly, if it's real or not.
Yeah.
You can sniff it. You know, like, oh well, that sounds like a bunch of crap, and I don't think any of that ever happened to so and so. So it's the same with
Yeah.
the open mic, And I think that and see, it's a slippery slope, because if you get into a poem you wrote and you start to become real emotive and you start to really want to just take over the world with it, that's great. But
Yeah.
it has to be coming from the poem itself and from the heart, or else you really don't have much.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. But dude, I have always, okay, like I said, this is an unfiltered thing and people can get pissed, but I'm just going to speak my mind like I always do. And, um, it's like when I read your work and, like when you first sent me work and I was blown the fuck away. And it's just, yeah, man, there's some people that just get it. I like edge, but you just can't, you can't fake experience and you can't fake up soul. You can't fake soul, man. And a lot of people, they just, what I hate, and I'm not trying to attack because I got a lot of friends that's what they do. They're good at open mic, but that's a true form because you notice the way they do their work is very quick because you only got a certain amount of time. It's a whole different set of rules. Like
Yeah,
I'm not fit for that because I don't act that way. I mean, I'm long winded, but I have seen people who are long winded and You know, some of them got a band behind. I mean, there's some crazy shit out there, but I think, more power to people. If that's what they're enjoying and they're actually drawing a crowd, fuck it. Because doing art, no matter what, if you're, as long as you're doing your art and you're 100% honest with yourself and real, then you've got my stamp of approval. But
Yes.
yeah, no, man. So like, what was your, you went to some open mics. So let's go there. What was your first open mic experience like?
Really kind of scary. Um,
I imagine.
even, yeah, it was because
Hmm.
even though I'd played a lot of shows as a member of a band, but you know how different that is. That's you're very well insulated. You know, you I always had at least
Hmm.
four other people right beside me that you could bounce off of, and you're all in it together. But if you're
Yeah.
doing a you're my poetry tends to be usually kind of on the personal side, and that's another thing because I, I sometimes as soon as I
Mhm.
send it out or I post it up, I think, oh, I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm really comfortable with that, but you have to
Hmm.
do that. That's what comes. That's what obviously what I wanted to say, whether I'm comfortable with it or not, and I felt that it had to be said, etc. So yeah, the poetry. I think that the readings make you vulnerable because it's just you by
Yeah.
yourself, and and you're up there basically pouring out your guts, uh,
Hmm.
which is, and your thoughts and your views, etc. And that's very dangerous to begin with, especially now. But so yeah,
Oh yeah.
it was nerve wracking. I remember like having the shakes a little bit, hoping that my voice wouldn't like.
Hmm. Yeah. So was it far? It was far harder for you to do the open mic than it was to get up on stage and perform. In
Yes,
other words,
much harder. Yeah,
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 that's really
much
weird.
harder.
And I can say that even when it comes to because I've done stand up always came natural. It was just like I'm not that funny. I'm just an asshole. People find it funny because honesty is so weird nowadays. People get uncomfortable and they either laugh or they whatever. But
Yes.
it is true. When you're reading, you're bleeding out your soul. If you really write, I mean, some of these people, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't like plastic anything, but
Yeah.
that's why I live such a good life and don't use condoms. That's advice for kids if you want to have a good time. But just but
You interrupt like a safety net.
yeah, don't live by my standards. You'll be dead. But, no, man. It's like I imagine it had to be nerve wracking, but you have such an original voice that's completely different. I know you were influenced definitely by the beats also. Because
Yeah.
none of your that's the thing, man. Because reading all these submissions, I don't feel you ever write for the magazine you're submitting to. I don't mean that bad. You're just you, and you either take it or you don't, and that's what I like. I really admire about your work because you have a great style, but you also change. Every submission's different, and I mean I've seen a lot of submissions, so I do know what I'm talking about on that. So.
Yes, you have. Yeah. Yeah, well, like, yeah. First of all, just really quickly, yeah, the Beats were super influential on me because I love their lifestyles even
Mhm.
more, even more than some of their poetry, which I love to death and has kind of become
Yeah.
part of me. I love reading about the lifestyle, and that really made me. I don't know. That just made me connect with them. But yeah, I mean, yeah, my style just happened as a combination. I really don't know what it is. I just sit down and I'm kind of lucky. Usually something comes out. If it's going to come out, it'll come out almost complete, and it'll be right there. And I don't have to do much. But yeah, I can't. I
Yeah.
can't. One thing like we all have to make compromises and things in life, even if we try not to. The one thing I will not do ever, ever, ever is compromise the writing. I am not about to, because
Yeah.
this is the only form of art now that I'm putting out into the world. I'm not going to. ever change it for anyone. And that works against me because I never know what to send to magazines. I don't know. And I am not going to look at what a magazine publishes
Yeah.
and sit there and try to write like their number one dude does so that maybe they'll publish me. Fuck that. Then you're not even a writer then. You're not even yourself.
Oh, there's quite a few people I know that do, or you can do like other people I know. You can just go around and what you do is you part the editor's ass cheeks and kiss their butt. I
That's
mean,
right.
that's just literally. I'm gonna make so many friends with my podcast. Um,
Well,
but
yeah,
you
I'm not.
know,
If someone can't take me at face value and for
mm,
what I believe in, then I got no time for them either. So, you know,
yeah,
like I said in the book, cancel me. I
mhm,
welcome the challenge.
yeah. Well, and that's another thing, man. You've done, of course, you've done technically 3 books. God, I'm glad I remembered. People think I'm really disrespectful, but if you know me, you're lucky. I don't even remember my birthday half the fucking time. So, I can remember. This is terrible, and I'll tell this on myself. I remember you were going on Michael's show, right? And like, yeah, man, I'm gonna totally be there. And then I message, hey, man, can't wait to listen. Well, it just wrapped. And it's like I'm not. I'm on my own planet, man. It's just the fucking truth. I'm just an airhead sometimes.
I
But
have
it's
to say,
like,
I,
uh
I have to say really quick that I really loved doing Michael's shows. I
hmm
had, my panties got soaked doing some of those. I really, really got into them, and actually the
Yeah, they're
one,
a blast.
yeah, and the ones that we did together were just so much
hmm
fun because I felt like a lot, like, we were kind of splitting the responsibility. So, like, they were only going to have to focus on me half the time, and, but
That was a crazy experience. We had sound effects, we had everything. Michael really rolled out the red carpet of craziness for us. Me and Michael are like, you can't put us together because there's
no,
no serious in there. It doesn't work. I could try to be serious, but then it's just, yeah. Sometimes I think he gets a contact high from hanging out with me. I don't know, but it's like,
I was just going to say that. No shit. I was going to just tell you that John
mm,
gets a contact high from you, and
mm,
that's why your shows are the
mm.
monumental events they are. But yeah, I love them, and I love doing that show. Because as much fun as we have, and as much as it gets crazy and off center, I feel
Yeah.
I feel like they always get to the point though. Like he always pulls something out of you, and he always gets you to say something that really matters in a way that maybe not everybody would. So, or maybe it's just because we're comfortable with him.
Yeah, he's a friend. He's a friend to both of us, and a friend outside of the show. Once I've heard now. I hope I'm right about this because then I'll say this shit, and then he'll like, yeah, man, thanks. And I heard he's gonna wrap that show up, and I'd like, oh, I hated to see that because that's that show is very. You got to have him because you can't count on me. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm lucky I'm here today.
Yes, yes, you are, man. I'm I'm relieved to be able to be talking to you at this point.
Well, I'm glad to talk to you, man. It's always amazing. It's like you are more elusive than Sasquatch. People don't know this, but it's the truth. you know,
I
there's
try.
one thing I want to talk to you about. No, man, I'm just joking with you, man. But I heard the audio recording you did with a writer I know you're a really good friend of. I really dug was with C.F. Roberts that you did.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, that was man, that was a different kind of thing. It's like basically a verbal chat book, and that was really. How did that all come about, man?
uh, okay, I'll make this very brief.
Mhm.
Yeah, CF or Chuck, because I alternate. But, he
Okay.
he was one of the first people that liked both my work and Fearless, and therefore he
Hmm.
was one of the first people I published. And he had a zine he called Shockbox for a while there,
Oh,
and
great name.
he would always take my submissions. You know, it was like a
Hmm.
guarantee. It was like, sure, man, I love what you're doing. Oh, cool, I love what you're doing here. We'll just, you know, and
Yeah.
so it was actually his idea. He's like, we need to let's do a spoken word cassette, and you do one side, I'll do the other side. And I thought, yeah, because I've always loved taping stuff, and even back
Yeah.
then, I do like reading, and reading is even more fun when you're not in front of people. You know, you can just read onto the tape or whatever. So
Hmm.
he suggested that, and then we just took all of our early stuff and did that. I recorded my part first and sent it to him. He was living in New Hampshire at that time. He's not there anymore, but and he put it together. He did the whole packaging and made all the copies. So I'm always lucky. I got to say, like, I find these people
Hmm.
that just help me out, and like yourself included in a big way. But
Well, no, thank you.
I've been yeah, well, you do, right? Um, but I find these people, and I've been lucky to find them at all these different stages in my life because there's a lot of stuff that I'm so bad with technology. I don't know how to do shit, whatever. And I find these
Mm.
people who come along and they're like, hey, I like your stuff.
Yeah.
Let's do this, let's do that, and it's great. And he was the first one of those to come along.
Yeah. Well, he's a really awesome dude. He's very different, man. Very different writer, but he's another guy that I would like to interview, sit down with. But so I mean,
Yeah,
y'all did that as a cassette. It wasn't. I mean, I'm just trying to gauge because I don't know when it was done. My memory. People don't know this is an interview. Well, it's not. You know what? This is two buddies sitting down. This is not. I hate that interview stock bullshit. So it's like this is just two buddies sitting down and one getting inebriated because hey, look, this doesn't pay. Just like editing, contrary to what people think when they cuss you out, and this is like you're cussing my ass out, and I'm not getting paid. You're lucky I don't have your home address. But when that came out, what did y'all taped it? It wasn't like going up to YouTube, was it? You were just like it was just being distributed amongst readers and people
yeah,
that y'all knew in the tape in the not tape trading, but the zine times where you're just sharing zines with everybody. It's really
yeah,
like a punk scene. In reality, poetry really is.
yes.
That's really how it goes.
Yeah, what's more punk rock than standing in front of someone and shouting out something you've written? But yeah,
Yeah.
that that would have been early for me. That was early. We're talking still in the '80s, probably late '80s. But he,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that would have been pre '90s, so there was no YouTube, and
Hmm.
we didn't. I had a bunch of people that I used to exchange cassette tapes with every week. It got to be a little crazy, but they were going out the door, man. But so
Yeah.
he put that together, and then we advertised it. We let it be known in each of our zines that we've got this tape. And I can't remember if he even charged anything for it. He might have been a couple of bucks, but it might have been free. I don't remember. Most of my shit's always free.
Dude, that's the beauty of it. Like that's what I dig, and that's what I see is it's becoming and people are gonna get mad, but like I said, I'll take the flack for this. If anybody gets pissed, don't get pissed. Kevin, get pissed at me. It's become just it's all about kissing ass, blowing up egos, and money grabs. I
But
mean, when you're doing print mag every 2 days, now I'm not knocking anybody because like, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I don't care. I got kind of brought into a war on that bullshit, but it's like I don't care what you do, but it's just not for me. If when I do a print, it's going to be that's it. It ain't going to be 15 of the fuckers because I hate doing print magazines anyways. So it's,
yeah.
it's just the truth.
Well, like how much money do you think you're gonna make? I mean, it's almost silly to me when I see, like, this is not going to be a vocation. This is not going to be a
No.
job. It's a lifestyle. It's a belief system, but or a religion maybe to you, but it's not going to be, like, don't quit your fucking day job if you need one, because, like, how much money do you think you're going to make being a poet? I mean,
Mm.
how many of us ever even get a lick of fame? I'm grateful that anybody out there fucking even knows that I'm here, that I've
Oh,
done something.
shit, dude.
Because, like, like, but these people are crazy. They have these,
Yes.
they have these unreal expectations. They have
Hmm.
a desire for attention that to me is a mental illness. When it gets to that point, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not in reality anymore. It's just, and there's one or two specific people that I won't be unkind, I won't mention, but it's not because I'm
Why
afraid.
not?
It's just that,
I
it's,
know.
it's,
I have to be good, but yeah, no, I don't have to be. I can say whatever the hell I want. But that's when you get to be the king of the castle
oh,
of your own, and it ain't a castle. It's more of like a box.
someone that, see, I had exactly what this one individual was going through. I was in every zine that came out, man. Every underground zine, every
Yeah.
college journals. I had people asking me for shit left and right. Da, da, da. And you know what? As someone who's done it for most of their life, it's going to
Yeah.
change quick, and it's going to be real different. And
Hmm.
that person's going to want to commit suicide, And it's like, I hope someone's there to help them and back to reality, because it's
Hmm.
it's totally unrealistic. It's just so unrealistic, But mental illness is so rampant now, I mean, I've got mine. Wow, you got to try.
I'm fucking nuts, but everybody knows it, man. But I've driven myself nuts. I will say that, believe it or not, just the stress, all the bullshit has probably taken a toll. I mean, a little bit. I'm just saying, you can't run 16, 17, I forget how many goddamn magazines it is, and not be a little bit nuts, but whatever.
I think, I really find two things here, quick. My opinions. I really find people that are not damaged in suffering.
Hmm.
They're just boring. They're just. We're not going to have any conversation at all. And number two, in between genius and madness, and I am gonna use the word genius. The thin line between genius and madness, or creativity and insanity, is so thin. And the best
Hmm.
art, the artists that make the impact, uh,
Yeah.
you got to be a little crazy. You have to have gone through shit, and shit's gonna damage you. And
Hmm. Yeah.
speaking for myself, yeah, I'll tell you, the last 4 or 5 years have taken the wind out of my sails many times. But I also have written more work in this time period than my whole life to that point. So there you go.
Yeah. It will drain you, but I mean, no, man. Let's talk more about. Recently we got a compliment from a good friend of ours. We're going to give a shout out to, as the kids say,
Yeah.
Jimmy Broccoli,
Now see,
who, yeah, that's a good guy. Yeah.
yep, yeah. I
Yeah.
like everything Jimmy does,
Hmm.
because I think that Jimmy is 100. I think Jimmy is 200% authentic. I think in his writing, I
Yeah.
mean, and I think he really tries. I think he's one of the rare people that really does want everyone to do well. I think if he knows you and he
Yeah.
likes your
Yeah.
work, he really does want you to do well. And he's yeah, so yeah,
He does. He does.
a bird of paradise amongst pigeons.
He's one of those. Yeah, he's one of those guys that. Yeah, he has no secular motives. He's a really nice person, and like me, I'm paranoid as fuck, as anybody knows. I'm just burnt out from this shit. Is all it is, and it just I'm just have other interests right now that I'm just like. I'm just tired of it because the politics have worn me the fuck out. So, anyways, but Jimmy is a great dude. But anyways, what I was going to get to is I know that he is such a huge fan of the split chat we did. Once is the Mirror Mass Nothing. Once was actually a real turning point for my own self. And I mean, I think it was something that was really rare, and we're going to be following that up by the time this comes out. By the time this comes out, we're finally going to do the follow up. Once it seemed like it's taken for fucking ever, but that's my fault because a slug is faster than me. So, but so how was that experience, my friend? We were doing that book.
Yeah, the Mirror Mass Nothing was really will always be very important to me, just because of that we did it together, and that to me cemented this whole brotherhood thing that is very real for us, and we put that. I think now people can see that, like, we're not just calling each other brother to be funny or hip or whatever.
No,
they can actually see that that there is a connection, that we bounce off each other in a certain way, and at the very least we inspire each other. So that made that real for the very first time. It was not real, but it made it concrete, something anybody can see, and that made me feel good. That was because I had a lot of a good friend of mine really loves that book too, and she was like, this how did you two put this together? How did you two? It was really easy. Like, we just have this kind of, we just, ever since we met, it just kind of works. And so yeah, that was important to me. Sorry, I'm getting really, when I start to get sleepy, man, I get weird. So
I don't mean to be keeping you up, man. I'm just trying to, hey, people, I'm having a good time, but I can cut a rapper, but I mean, it's still, there's just a couple things I want to ask. But it's like, no, man, that book was, for me, was so natural. It flowed so well that it was like, it was a natural thing to want to do a book with you. And then, of course, I'm a cover freak. That's how I sell books. If anybody knows anything, I sell books and projects to anybody through covers. That's what I do. There's probably a gazillion covers that I've done that people haven't seen, but that's where it starts for me. And that book, I was going through such a shit time in life that book was a turning point for me. But when I look at the work, man, it was something really different, because it's not just two writers who are about basically, two people, like you said, that are going to do a book together, that are basically just two egos clashing and they're trying to jerk themselves off. And it was just all about the art. And it was just it was a refreshing, man. And that's why I know that when people see the follow up is, I mean, fucking, you blow me out of the water, man. But you went through so much when you were writing that, and I don't know if it's okay to talk about that, but I mean, I'm being serious. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's off limits, whatever. Sometimes you got to gut yourself for entertainment.
Off limits. You can ask me anything, and I'll do my best to
Well,
answer.
I mean, you went through a hell of a rehab. You had a hell of an injury, and let's go a little bit into that. And then, what did you find that kind of like being? If people don't know, you definitely explain that. But like, to me, it was a different kind of book, man. When you handed over your half of the book, that's how we work. Kevin doesn't see mine because I don't show mine all the time. I'm very shy and there's shrinkage. And I mean about the book. But yeah, man, how did everything that was going on influence your half of that book? Like, it just seemed like it was outstanding. When people see it, it's outstanding. The follow up is outstanding.
Yes, thank you first. But yeah, it did. That whole, I think, for the very first time, that book, my half of it is exactly based on what I was going through at the very moment that I was putting it to paper. Because even there's a couple pieces that I might not have been going through, but I was thinking about. So it counts, Yeah, after the
Yeah.
move, after the move to the strange, unfriendly neighborhood, and all the issues there, which were many, and then
Yeah.
the broken ankle. I finished that
Mhm.
book with the ankle being broken, and I was very grateful to have something to keep my mind on. So thanks.
Mhm. Well, I mean,
But yeah,
how did that one happen? Get this, dude. There's some people that might not know. That's why I'm trying to document all this. So it's like, how did that happen? Not to bring up bad shit, but let's bring up bad shit.
no,
Um,
okay.
you
It
know,
was in it was this last February, on February 15th, and it was just a normal work day for me, which means I get up at 6 o'clock and I head out the door for about a 20-minute walk, my
mhm.
job, and we had some snow and stuff, but most of that was gone. So I'm walking to work. I'm
Mhm.
in my uniform. I work as a food prep, so I have that uniform, and
Mhm.
I was about a block and a half, 2 blocks away from the house, crossing the main street here, which is the main artery, and all of a sudden, man, 1 minute I was standing up, the next minute I was on the ground. It was that fast, and my right leg
Damn.
got twisted a little bit, not behind, but it was. I could tell,
Mhm.
like, I was. My first thought was, I just hope that I'm okay. Like, I'm just a bruise is fine. I fall in the snow every year,
Yeah.
at least twice.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hopefully this is nothing. And I was not off the street. I was almost off the street, but I was still almost where traffic would just kill
Yeah.
me. And this is about 7 a.m. And so there's no one out there. There's nobody. There's very little traffic, thank whoever, and there's nobody. So I noticed that I couldn't get up, and I
Mhm.
didn't understand. I didn't understand that at all. I'm like, what? I can't get up. What the fuck is taking so long? So I had to crawl to the side of the road. I got to the curb and pulled myself up by gripping one of those old metal mailbox things.
Yeah.
Pulled myself, to a standing position, and then there was this. I got lucky because there's this little brick wall behind the sidewalk, and I'm like, I sat down on that, and I actually smoked a cigarette, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna stand. I did,
I broke my foot. I'm gonna have a cigarette. Why
you know, there's
not?
never, there's never a bad time, Don't listen to that, kids.
Mm-mm.
But so anyway, so I sat on that wall, and I thought, maybe I probably just am a little shaken up from falling. It's no big deal, right? So I
Mhm.
went to stand on it, and things didn't feel right, obviously. And I went to walk on it, and I noticed that, like, I just couldn't. It was my right ankle, so I noticed that my right foot just wasn't. It just didn't want to move, Period. So
Mhm.
my first thought was, I'm just going to go on to work, and that'll be fine. And then I realized there was no way that I was going to do that. So luckily,
Yeah.
I was able to hobble back home to the house, which took much
Mhm.
much longer than it used to. But
Yeah.
and then then I following an exam that evening, and they told me, "Oh, you broke it," which meant
Mm.
6 weeks of not even being able to stand upright.
Yeah.
So it was pretty depressing.
Well, I mean, I remember. I mean, you went through a lot, man. It was, but it's like you came out with a great manuscript. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it was. I mean, it was an accident, but just wait till the next book comes out. I mean, something's going to happen. You just tell me what corner you're on. I'm going to hit you with a car. No, I'm joking.
There-
So inappropriate jokes are what I do, folks. So fuck off. But yeah, no.
it's funny because there's a certain amount of telepathy going on tonight between us, because I was just going to say, well, when I got hit by a car, you're going to love that manuscript. And you took the words right out of my mouth.
That's what I do. I'm a thief. No, no, man. It
You're
cracked
at,
me up, man. When you And like I said, dude, we end up I cut people out. I'm the worst interviewer. I'm not a professional interviewer. I don't pretend to be. Off the Wagon's about having a good time and me getting drunk and talking to my friends. Um, but it amazed me. Okay, like when we go back to the first book you did with us, it was like I was amazed that you weren't offered, deals from everybody. Um, and you were so awesome to work with, and that was a different book, very different book. And if anybody hasn't read that, and I know I messed the title, because anybody knows me, I mess everything up. I speak English as my second language. Drunken gibberish is my first. But yeah, man, how was it work? Because anybody, we're going to mention yet another person who's not in the room. How was it? Because people think when they do a book, they're working with me. You don't really. I'm the cover guy. That's pretty much what you hear from me. Hey, here's a cover. Bye. you worked with you worked with a little friend that's not in the room right now, or a little baby brother, Scott. How was it working with Scott? Because Scott is a very different person than people think. He's a clown all the time until you work with him, and then he can be a royal pain in the fucking ass. So how was that experience doing the first book for Whiskey City?
First of all, first of all, um, I look at I look at myself as being one third of that book
Mm,
because it is the cover that sells that one, just like the
mm,
other one, but it is the cover. And Scott, between the two of you putting so much into it, I feel like we really did. I felt like that was our baby, and Scott made me feel
mm,
that way too. He did. He was like
yeah.
being in the room with the record producer. I felt like I
Mm-hmm.
was. He treated me with respect, like he knew I already had a recording career, but
Yes.
he also knew that we had to get beyond what was already
Mm-hmm.
there, and he was never afraid to push, and he pushed in a really nice way. But I mean, he really made that book special, and in a couple of ways.
He
But
does. He makes you bleed. He really does. And he
yeah,
does. Not to interrupt, but he does. People don't get it. You have to work with him to understand. I'm not anything to work with. Scott's the one to work with. He is
I,
great at what he
yeah,
does.
I think you both. I think you both shared that, but it is a gift, and he is. I still refer to him as the secret weapon. Like
Hmm.
because he made me deliver, and he just seemed to know what I wanted, which is a great producer.
Hmm.
He never
Yeah.
tried to mess with my vision or mess with my work, and
Mm-mm.
then but the decisions that he helped me make, I was really grateful for. So he made that one real special for me, and I really liked working with him. I found it to be kind of stimulating, and
Yeah.
I was, he was so into it, and that really made me into it even more.
It's a great experience for people that want to be at the press. I will say that if you work with him, the guy knows, and I work with him. And if you work with me, you know me. I'm a fucking dickhead, but it's I'm like a bull in a china shop. It's kind of like dealing with John Belushi of poetry. You know, it's like you just amazed I'm not dead the next day because you know a lot of what I'm talking about. People out there won't quite get. It's not an act with me. I'm not just putting on harshness for fun, but yeah, no, Scott is great to work with, but that being said, man, how was it? Because like, and Scott won't mind this because we're just. I want this show to be completely no bullshit. There's too much bullshit in this world, so we don't need to add to it. How was it going from that book, and then going to the second, where Scott was not really there during the process? Not an insult to him, because he'll tell you himself, but because it was completely different.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, you can tell me it sucked, man. It's fine because I'm not that guy. I'm not like Scott. Scott is way better. He's like a good music producer. He really is. He knows how to. He can get the best out of you. He really can.
I I did I missed Scott a little bit, but not not because I'm not completely 200% proud of that book. I missed him because it was just fun having him around. But working with you alone actually made me want to make it even better than it. Like I don't usually revise or add much. I really lived with that book because I knew, being the second one, it had to be good. I didn't know if I could. Well, they're two different things. I didn't, I knew it had to be good since I didn't have Scott to be kind of looking over my shoulder saying, well, maybe not that, maybe this is better, or maybe you should do that, that might be better, well, maybe you should take that out, it doesn't fit. I really tried to remember what he told me and help. He was helpful, and I tried to remember that. But then the fact that, because I care about what I give to you guys because, we're family, we're in it for the same reason. So I thought, okay, well, I don't have that, so I'm really going to have to make sure I pay attention. So that was what the effect of not having Scott was mostly. I just had to make sure that I felt that it was right and that it was as good as it could be. And I did, and I did do a lot of not so much revising, but I did a lot of checking. I did a lot of spot checking, making sure it was going to be good.
Well, I mean, dude, you're an excellent writer. That's like I said, that's what I didn't get. And it's like, when it comes to before I met you, hell, I think you were on my friends list, and like, there's a gazillion people on there. I don't mean to be an asshole. I don't know all of them. It was one time I just add anybody who I thought would be a writer and I could ask for work. And you sent me work before I ever asked, and I did not. I knew about Fearless through somebody and
great.
Yeah, I knew about Fearless, and then I got your work, and I was like blown away, and I was like, "Fuck, why is this?" I'm being honest. Like, I've told you this too, and I'm like, "Why are you not like everywhere?" Is it that you don't play the politics, or it's just become such bullshit, man? That's the whole point. You have to fucking play politics to be everywhere now. Whereas it used to be, it was more of an artistic, nurturing thing. Now, to me, it's not. It's a fucking machine, and it'll chew your ass up if you try to play the game, in my opinion.
Yes. It's a little perplexing to me. I don't know why people don't reach out to me. I have, let's be real here. I have a long history of being very, very supportive of other poets that I didn't know from Adam.
Yes.
And like, I've never been rude. I've never been in any fights with anybody really or anything. Even if someone,
you're the easiest person to deal with. I know. I'm being serious when it comes to. I've known a lot of editors, and you are one of the more receptive that I've ever. In fact, well, we became instant friends, so it's different, man.
It is. We're well beyond that shit, aren't we?
But, yeah.
We're like, I feel like we're like Mick and Keith hanging out now,
Well, I'd rather be Lemmy, but that's okay. Everybody knows that. But Mick never hung out with Lemmy, but that's all right. No, yeah, I'm a fucking train wreck, and if you can put up with me, but we know personal stuff on each. It's just like, it's not bullshit. Like, but I will say, like, I always feel bad. It's like, even look, the book was great. I'm not saying that, but there was something missing when we don't have that element of me, you, and Scott. It's just. People don't get it. He tells me when something I do sucks, And that takes a lot of fucking balls because you know me, I go off. I go off on everything. I'm paranoid as shit. I admit I'm a pain in the ass, but anybody who is good at all, I ain't gonna say good. I'm not gonna blow smoke at my ass. But anybody who gets art is a pain in the ass. I'm being serious. An artist's job. One time I heard this. Uh, this is said about Malay. An artist's job is to, behave badly, and I agree.
Yeah.
I think if you're not crazy, you're not interesting. You know.
Because it's those things though that it's the very same things that make you unique as an individual that are going to make your work unique and individualistic. And do you want product or do you want art? You can't really have both. And nowadays you can tell because the product sells like hotcakes, and what I consider to be meaningful, honest, impactful, oftentimes gets nothing. And it's always been that way because when I look back to the bands, most of the bands that I really, really loved were the same way. They never really got above. I mean, there's some that did, of course, but because I love Pink Floyd, I love Led Zeppelin. Let's face it.
Oh,
but a lot of a lot of the other ones managed to get out of that cult status thing, and I relate to them. So I guess maybe that's why I'm just kind of, maybe you have to be on my frequency a little bit, or you're just not going to really enjoy it or pick it up. I don't know.
You see, I mean, dude, I'm being honest. You just see through bullshit. You've always been a straight shooter. And even when it hurts, because I mean, you're hard to guess, man. You're one of my best buddies. I'm just being honest. You're hard to guess, man. I'm like I don't know how you and Scott both need like fucking awards for putting up with my shit. And I'm sure like if people right now, oh yes, they'll agree because they don't know me. I don't care about the opinion of those people. I do care about your opinion. I do care about Scott's, and I'm being serious. I've written long enough that I don't have to give a fuck about what Scott thinks, but I do because he actually fucking knows what he's talking about. So,
Yeah.
And people won't get that, but you will. But
Yep.
I'm just saying.
And yeah, that kid has one of the most unique minds that I've ever come across. He is a singular entity, and I would love him for that. That's the only thing I need to really know to actually love him for that. But there's all that other stuff as well. He's so deceptively good at what he does. He knows so much more than I think he even realizes. I don't know. But he's really good. He's really good. And he needs to.
He's great to work with. He needs to stay with it, but he's one of those things, man. Like me and and nobody, unless you're at the press, you don't know, because I think that people are deceived, and I've seen it happen. And I'm not trying to call people out because I actually care about this person, but they don't know how things work, and they get into the dynamic. And then they get a little thrown off because he's accurate. What he's telling you is genuinely my opinion. We talk about things. It's just I'm not going to deliver it to you because I come off like sandpaper. That's just me. But and it's not that I'm trying to be an asshole, but I do it to myself. Like Scott comes to me and he gives me honest opinion. I always ask honest opinions. If something you don't feel something, don't lie, because it doesn't hurt my feelings. That's a thing nowadays. People got to quit the bullshit where they can't have it. It doesn't mean you're an asshole because you say, hey, I don't dig this, or hey, that's not your best work. Because if people give a shit about you, they should tell you instead of kiss your ass. And the participation award, I think that word's accurate. Participation award is bullshit. This society is bullshit. I love that I'm going into my preaching mode, but that's okay. I'm Brother John, and this is Father Hibshman. So Hibshman, God damn it, I knew I'd get it wrong sometime. No, man. Yeah, that was the weird thing with that book, is that we didn't have that kind of dynamic going on. And I'm not saying anything, but it was I'm good at the HUD covers. That's my bread and butter. I'm being honest. Scott's way better at working writers than I am. I'm just like, you know.
Well,
So,
I think Scott, and this is a guess, but I would think that knowing him, I do know him somewhat. I think that he enjoys, for him, he really enjoys picking people's brains, and
yeah, he loves being
he
behind the scenes. People don't get
yeah,
that, but he does. That's his thing. It really is.
that's he's the secret weapon behind the scenes, man. Everyone should have that.
Mhm. Well, that's what. Hey, we got a lot of we've got a lot of good stuff coming out. I move slow as Christmas. It's just me, but that's it. But no, man. Yeah, with the new book coming out, I have to say people are going to be blown away if they really dug the first. But it is a completely different book. I will say that. I'm surprised you want to write books with me because I do extremist art. I don't want to do the same fucking book a million times over. It bores me. The idea of doing that shit 100 times. Like I look at some writers, and I don't have to name names because they do 100 goddamn books. And the thing is, nobody ever fucking talks about them. I'd rather do one book that everybody talks about than do 500. Set a Guinness book for doing a bunch of shit that more suited to wipe your ass than read. And and everybody knows who I'm talking about, so fuck them. But I'm just saying, like, I'm being serious. I don't give a fuck. Why do I care? I don't have, like, I don't have this make believe bullshit in my head. Nobody, I walk into a Barnes and Noble, nobody gives a shit. It's because, I'm not, dude, we're in a very small scene. But what matters is integrity. And that's something that you have in spades. And like when I read you, I was blown the fuck away. And another thing I was also blown away by was that you were just a great dude to hang out with. And we've been we've been friends for a while. I'm a bit of a pain in the ass, but you're a great dude, and you're also an incredible writer. So yeah, the new book coming out, Lost in the Garden of Heathens, from Whiskey City Press, I think will blow people's minds, man, because it's
I think it's really,
they're all their own thing.
yeah. I haven't seen your part of it yet, and I'm really, really anxious. But I'm also really happy that I haven't because I know it's going to be for me. It'll make it a completely honest first time experience. It'll be like, holy crap, I'll be like, so it'll
Yeah.
it'll re, it'll reframe my stuff too in a certain aspect that I'm anxious to see how I feel about that because I know that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I mean, and once again, you got to tell people you are the one that came up with these titles because the titles are great.
Mhm.
They make the book, and you're
I
just
am only thing I'll take claim to is I'm an editor. I'm not gonna name because you probably get pissed, but I'm a title guy. That's what I do. That's what I like doing. I admit that, but that doesn't mean sometimes like like I'll send a title to you, man, and if you dig it, you dig it. If you don't, you don't. And a lot of times you do dig it. But we see eye to eye a lot. But man, you can title stuff too. It's not me trying to be it's not about ego with me. It's
no.
about doing the most killer shit we can. I want our books to be. I write the books that I went to read when I was a kid because I was a kid that was into poetry. I was the cool motherfucker on the block.
That's very true. Um,
Mm.
I want that. I know that I'm fairly confident that our work, if it hasn't already, is going to get into the hands of someone who is really going to need it. And I mean, need it to
Yeah.
continue. And
Yeah.
that's what the great art always does for me. And I'm
Hmm.
very, very grateful for those people. That's what it does for me. And I know that that's going to happen. That if it hasn't, it probably has already. That this is going to fall into the hands of some kid who is
Hmm.
going to be able to, going to be able to really use it. And I want that so bad. That's what I want. I want him to be able to use it.
Yeah. But I mean, wasn't like you mentioned that to me a long time. ago, man. But that isn't that how you want it, Fearless, to be? Like some kid just pick up this magazine and be blown away because the way you presented stuff, dude. I'm not shit compared to you. You had a cool format. You had a magazine that people, if they were not in, should be jealous. And I know that. I mean, I'm just being honest. There's a lot of writers, and there's writers that you're a cool guy, so you're not about that. But there's a lot of writers to me that don't deserve. They may be able to write just because you can write, don't mean you should be an asshole. You know,
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't believe in this entitled bullshit that I see nowadays, and I'm just like, that's why I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to be in the scene anymore, and I'm not really. You know, I'm
When
kind of relegated to janitor, but that's all right.
you know, you know what though, through this whole lifetime so far, basically of me writing, um, I have always, and I think that's why I don't quote fit in or I don't get asked. People seem to be not know how to ask, or they're afraid to ask, or they're, but any whatever.
Hmm.
But I I have to remain my own entity. Like we were saying, like
Yeah.
I'm not, like my whole attitude is, okay, I'm going to send you something. If it doesn't fit in with your, with your vision or your zine or your editorial, whatever, that's really great.
Hmm.
Because so that way, I want to end up kind of a little bit everywhere. Like I want to. I've been in like spiritual journals where it's almost a religious thing, in the past. I've been in,
I don't mean to
you know,
laugh, but
imagine, right?
no,
But
that's a different one, brother. I'm, I'm such an asshole. You get it, and everybody's gonna think I'm just drunk. I'm drunk, but that's no excuse to not have a good time. I'm just, I mean, God, man. You know what? I'm gonna ask it, and you're gonna get mad anyways. But no, I know you. You get bad, but you'll talk to me eventually because eventually you'll miss me because I'm unforgettable, just like
you're
Nat King Cole.
hard to get over.
Man, how much prejudice do you see in the writing community? Let's. I'm going to do the controversial question. So, because I think there's a shit ton if you don't fit this kind of
Yeah.
square box, you
Yes.
know.
Uh,
Mm.
uh, you know, what's really kind of horrible to me is that
Mm.
in the year 2024,
Hmm.
uh, with people that are quote poets,
Yeah.
that those prejudices are still strong and still affect decisions they make, and I think that's unbelievable. That's unforgivable. And
Hmm.
that, if how can you be a writer and have prejudices? How can you be open? You have to be. I remember Diane DePrima, who I love, as you know. She once said,
Yes.
"There's nothing human. There's no human experience that I want to close myself off to." And she's like, I'm not going to shoot heroin, and and I don't want human blood on my hands. But there's no experience that I can't observe or I will keep myself from. And I mean, how can you be a
Yeah.
writer, a filmmaker, or an artist if you are prejudiced against these groups of people? I mean, it's stupid. It shows a lack of intelligence to begin with.
There's a huge amount, in my opinion. And like
Yeah.
I said, there's only mine, so people can get pissed off. I think there's a huge amount. The most closed-minded group of people are supposed to be what I thought would be this bohemian group that I always imagined getting into. And then I
It's
learned it was all a bunch of cults and weird shit where you got to go kiss somebody's ass who lives in a commune. And people can take that as a dig because it is. But I don't like it, man. I'm being honest. Look, this is on me, but I don't care because I don't get like I'm lucky on this aspect that I've had to me the people that I respect dig what I do, and that's what I care about. I don't give a fuck if I'm liked by this group, that group, who basically have their own network of magazines because I have my own network of magazines. So, but I've always been diplomatic in that sense. I don't give a fuck about this. All you got to do is write. For me, that's all you got to do. You ain't got to like me. You ain't got to kiss my ass. And you don't, I'm not, and, sometimes people have a little bit of a, you know what I mean, dude? Like, if you know me, but there's a lot of people that don't. So they just think I'm like this or that. But I think most people would know that, dude, I'm the easiest person to send work to.
Definitely.
All you got to do is write. You know?
There's like, I think you and I share this also, as editors. We know how
Mm-hmm.
hard it is to submit and what you go through and how rejection, no matter what anybody
Mm-hmm.
says, always sucks. It always hurts a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit. You talk
Yeah.
yourself out of it, but it's always a drag. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we've always tried to be very constructive. If I criticize anybody's work at all, which I
Yeah.
rarely do, I don't see. That was the nice thing about being editor for Fearless. I solicited people to me most of the time, so I
Yeah.
never had to worry too much. I had the incredible good fortune to be able to sort of cherry pick, and I could sort of, you would get a lot of people from the outside that I didn't ask, but a lot of it was invitation only, and I did that
Mm-hmm.
on purpose. So I would, because I don't want to. The last thing I want to do is hurt people's feelings. I really don't enjoy hurting people's
No.
feelings. Never been about
No.
that. And I hate when my feelings get hurt, even if it's for dumb shit. So that was one thing I did. I asked people so that I could spare myself having to say no too many times. And yeah.
Yeah. No, you did it the right way. I get how it's done. Shit, man, you are an excellent editor. I am a train wreck on my best day. I did the only thing I don't like is like I said, some misconceptions. You know me to a very good degree. I think it was what you were at the press for a couple weeks and I had a stroke. I mean, I'm not going to go there, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, and then people think that's an act, and I'm like, no, I know I'm crazy, and I know I'm eccentric, but I like being. I'm, I have fun being me. I'm the writer I want to be, so I don't
Yeah.
give a flying shit. But I
Well,
do think there is a ton of prejudice, and we're not really saying what I probably would like to say, but it's bullshit. I see it changing. There's a lot of good dudes out there. Broccoli is one of them.
you know
That
what?
that guy has a lot of pull and he deserves it. I
Yep.
mean,
It'll
he's
change.
one of the yeah, there's always going to be people that come out in there about art. He's one of those guys, and I see his scene, his group of, I don't like to say it because people get upset, but it's a compliment when I say freaks, because that's the group I want to be in. I don't want to be in the group of the snobs. I just don't, because I don't give a fuck. I'd rather you misspell shit and know how to write than be a typist and have nothing to say. And there's
Right.
too much of that shit going on nowadays.
In
There
all
really
hon-
is.
in all honesty, my roots in anything I do,
Mm-hmm.
but especially writing, was actually a reaction against that. You know,
Yeah,
that it was, that was what was punk about it. We were trying to,
yeah,
same thing about the beats. We don't give a shit about the institution, the bureaucracies, the panels, the
yeah.
whatever, the academics.
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a shit? Not, I do like a sense of, that can be fun. But, who
Mm-hmm.
cares? That we're writing about what's real to us with our own style, with our own understanding of art. And it was actually a reaction against all that. So when I find myself upset because these people don't like me, I got to stop, and remember, like, oh well, like I'm sort of like they're the enemy. you know, they're,
Dude, there's no reason. I've seen people that are the biggest snobs in the world that admire your work because no matter what, they can't deny talent. And that is something you have in spades. You know how to speak to the page. And people feel that's what a great writer does, in my opinion. You feel like you know them. Like when I read you, you're very personal, like you have different styles, everybody does. But when you just and even that said, man, there's like it's like people feel like they know your life. Like, dude, I mean, God, like I said, I know I'm gonna fucking get in trouble for saying something, but even with you, I'll probably get in trouble. But that's okay. You can be mad at me. You'll get over it. Uh, but like, no, seriously, man. Like, people feel like they know your life. Like, people know, like William. You write about William, and he's right there on the page. I've never spoken to William, but you feel like you know, like because of your work, and it's a beautiful thing, man. It's like a good writer to me, and this is the dumbest way to explain it, is like a rock tumbler. A rock is just a fucking rock, right? But a good writer can take that motherfucker and just polish it up where you look at it completely different. And that's a true gift. And yeah, so yeah.
I really appreciate that, because that's actually pretty much what I hope I'm doing. So that really means a lot to me. And you're always praising my stuff, but I have to praise your stuff as well. Like that, the last book that you did is just that is where the future of Southern Gothic writing. That's where it starts and may end. I don't know if
the title you gave me that title, and I'll credit you 100%. Yeah, but no, it's not about me, man. And it really is. That's why I kind of got. And hey, look, I love broccoli, I really do, and you too, man. And you know this, but it's like this is about you, and it's like shit, man. What you do is it's on the money. I don't give a damn. You could want to do 50 books, and I will publish every one of them, because what you have to say is always different and it's always valid. But yeah, no, I will say you gave the one thing when I sent you the book, you cracked me up. In your review, you give the most different reviews of any human I've ever. Man, I thought I was going to read this to go to sleep, but one says basically a lot about poetry, because that's the truth. A good poetry book, most poetry books will put you to sleep, but you've been a big proponent for that book. So I thank you, and I thank Jimmy too, if he listens, because hopefully we'll get him on here. But yeah, no.
Well, no.
You were a big proponent. Okay, go ahead, brother.
That was an honest review. I read the whole thing. Almost cover to cover in one sitting, and because I couldn't put it down, like I said, and I was so knocked out by everything about it. Like, the imagery was completely new. I hadn't seen anything like that. And you put me through a roller coaster ride, like that was just took me everywhere that I could possibly want to go. It's sexy at times, but then it's downright scary. And I don't mean scary. I mean fucking frightening at times. Like real.
It is. It's deep.
And then you take that stuff, and some of the pieces have this unbelievable, beautiful sentiment or beautiful effect, even though the subject matter is not. I couldn't say enough about it. I really was happy that I got to review it, because I believe in that book completely, like I do all of our things. But I really thought that was a high point for anybody's career. I mean, it was just, and Jimmy seems to have really gotten to, which I was glad, because I don't want to be the only one. That more people should know about
that. And like I said, man, I apologize, because I shouldn't make it about me. That book was, and it's all I'll say about it. That was a book that you, Jimmy, and then Scott first ran it through Scott, and he was like, "You don't need to change nothing." It's like, if you hit it out the park, and it was not. I mean, it definitely. I mean, it kind of mind fucks you. I have to say this. I don't know if it did you or not, but it mind fucks you if you have "Are We Dead Yet?" did well. That was that was a book I did that. I don't know why, if it was because I veered away from it. The whole barroom thing. If you want it, I hated the Bukowski bullshit, and that's just truth. And you can get mad because I had one writer throw the book away because of the Bukowski thing. Because I'm just like, I'm over that shit, and I'm just like, I'm not. I'm just trying to be me, and I think I'm finally hitting the strike where I'm getting kind of okay. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, but I mean, like, yeah. Do you ever, dude? Like when you sit down with a book, man, do you want? Because like I did that book in particular, and I was uncomfortable with it. I wasn't trying to write a follow up, but I felt like it was a flop. Yet the people that I really give a shit about liked it. So, do you ever get uncomfortable with a book, or you just not even think about that shit?
Yeah, to be honest, I get I got uncomfortable with the two that I did solo, whatever, for you guys. Those two,
Yeah.
I was really uncomfortable with them because what happens was I really just wrote them. They came out like lightning, man. They just came out like it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, there it was. Especially the first one, but they both came out. But in telling, in talking so much about personal things like my childhood, there were I just did it. I thought this is what I want to say, and this is what came naturally, right? And it is what happened. So, but then I'm like, oh my God, my mom wanted to read them, and my dad, and my sister actually bought a copy, and some of William's family members bought copies, and I started to think. And then with the second book at my previous job, a couple of those people bought Cease to Destroy, and I thought, oh good God, like because like we were saying, when you're that, I felt like I felt like I put myself on the line a little bit, and I knew that it might make some folks uncomfortable, but there again, what matters is it has to be real, and it is, but yeah, so. Your answer is yes. I do feel uncomfortable with some stuff.
Well, that's the thing, man. I know I'm gonna mess the title up, but you know me. I don't mean no disrespect. I just fuck things up. Even if I write the title, I fuck it up. But just another small town story. Do I got that right? I think I got that right. Huh?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's the title.
Are we gonna go there, man? I'm not trying to ask a controversial question. Are we gonna go there? Are we gonna follow that up though? Because that's an incredible book. But it's like, I feel personally there's a part missing, man, where there's some things. Maybe it's where you decided to become a Christian that people would probably be a little interested in. And even Scott has said this. So is there going to be technically a follow-up to that? And because Cease to Destroy is a great book, but then again, it wasn't the full family there. And I think, people probably want to hear, because you're such a personal writer, and people dig it. And, and that's another thing with your business. Where you worked amazed me with how they promoted the book, by the way. Where you used to work was really incredible. So it was a positive thing, man.
They hadn't read it yet. So yeah, but no one had read it, so I don't know what they would have thought after they read it, but not my concern.
Yeah. Well, you dodging the question there. Are we going to see a follow up, man, like a part 2 to another small town story where we're kind of going on, man? When you're getting in bands, like people want to know, because you're a private person. I'm private, but you're private. Like seriously, you give us glimpses, man, and I know it has to make you uncomfortable, but I think in my opinion, the reader wants to know everything. And I'm the kind of person, okay, this is how I work as an editor. I hand you a knife and tell you to gut yourself. Scott will gut you on purpose. I don't do that. Scott's like the crazy old sea captain.
Yes, he certainly is that.
Yeah, yeah. So we ever gonna see that follow up, man, and see that second chapter of your life, man? Or is there some things that you just want to keep private? Now, that's just a fair question.
There's really, to be honest, I may get a little uncomfortable at times, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't. In the long run, there's nothing that I would hide. Like I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there is more stuff. Uh, yeah, I think the reason I haven't done it quicker is because I'm still processing the '90s at the moment. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like, you get it. Like all that early stuff, I had already kind of gone through for just another small
Yeah.
town. I need to, I need to begin to sort of do that whole thing with,
Mm-hmm.
where I left off. But yeah, I think I'll do it because there is probably some funny, interesting stuff going that could go in. Yeah.
Dude, I think with your writing, I think it helps people, man. I'm just being serious. That's not me being preachy or some fucking bullshit because you're not preachy. That's the whole thing. You're one of the easiest. And dude, I am ultra private. Like I said, you know me and you know a lot of shit. You can write an expose. but seriously, I think and I know Scott's, yeah, people, you just connect, man. You're a genuine soul, and that's the thing I love about you, man. You're a great writer, and
Thanks.
you're a great read. You
Thanks,
know,
man. It takes one to know one.
mm, yeah, I'm great at being half out of my mind. I'm the guy that comes up with an idea in the middle of the night, sends you a text that makes no sense. You need a decoder ring to understand, but you humor me, so that's okay.
I think
So
if you ever piss me off too much, I'll just take all those messages and publish them as they are.
yeah, you should, man. That's what I'm saying. It's like all those closeted messages. Now they're not
Well,
that. They're not hard to figure out. Trust me.
but well, the only thing like the spelling and the missing letters and things, no one would be able to know if they didn't know you.
They can't. I'm terrible. Hey, look, asshole. Hey, we have some friends that are a little bit difficult to understand too. I'm not the only one. That's when I a particular writer at the group, not, and I hope he doesn't listen and get upset because I'm just joking with him. But a particular writer of the group, I'm like, wow, man, this is a dude that speaks my language because I think neither one of us can understand each other. And it's like, hey, it works. But okay, man, I've held you hostage for a long time, so I will just ask you a couple quick
Yeah,
questions.
gotta go feed the
Um, okay, well, you can feed the pussies in a second. God damn it! I'm just saying, I'm all about the pussy, but you can wait 2 seconds. Uh, but what would be your advice, man, to anybody wanting to put words to paper? This is just completely somebody listen to this, and yeah.
okay. Uh, I would say you have to write down what you think, what you feel, make sure it's yours. It might be awkward getting used to your own voice, just like your own singing voice can be awkward. It was for me, by the way. Um,
Mhm.
but be true. Be true to that. You must be true. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to know some things before you're a good writer, before you even start
Hmm.
writing, and you have to know somewhat who you are, what you're about, because otherwise it's not going to be authentic. And it really, at the end of the day, I stand by that as the most important thing. I think, like we said many times, is the honesty and the fact that you want to honestly relay your experience to other people in the hopes that they will get something out of it, because it's just communication, and in some ways it can be entertainment. It doesn't stop there,
Hmm.
but yeah, just be true. Figure out what you want to say, get used. Don't be afraid of your voice and just do it. Don't be afraid of. Don't do anything anybody tells you to do unless they're a good, trusted friend that
Hmm.
that you respect. Otherwise, just do your thing. Do it as real as you can.
Excellent, man. Excellent. I'm gonna ask you my last question because I like
Okay.
to annoy you. And this is a fun, annoying question, man. And I know you give me
Good.
shit for this one. It's funny. Um, is the muse important, and who is the muse? And I think I know the answer, but go ahead. It's not Scott Simmons. I know that much.
Um, are you talking about do I have a muse?
Yes, is the muse important to the writer? And and
Yeah,
and and I'm being personal because I'm trying to annoy the shit out of you because it's fun.
I know you don't. Um, you're lucky I like you as much as I do. Um, I'm just, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We're brothers, man. We go.
Yeah, we're brothers, but I know the answer. It's just funny because anybody who knows your books knows you. I feel like that, and that's a great quality because I think the best writers, you open a book and you say, just like the best musicians, that's why people connect, right? Like they listen to a band, oh, these people know me. It's just for people who can't write and can't, they
Yeah,
have to have that, and it's very important, and
yeah.
it's being overlooked. But so yeah, it's a silly question, but it's just me goofing off. But it's like, yeah, man, is the muse important? Who is the muse? Can we know, or does it have to remain a secret? I think I know. I think I know who it is. It's not Donald Trump. I'm just
Uh,
oh shit. Oh shit.
okay. Yeah, I think the muse is important, but I'm not sure I know who it is. You think you know who it is?
Well, I'd hope so. I've read about him in a couple books. I'm like, I'm pretty sure if they listen to this podcast, they'd probably want you to say, Jesus, dude, you're worse than I am. Like, I will never admit, I won't even admit when I'm in a relationship. And you're worse. Damn, you're cold. You're the Iceman. You really are. It's like Top Gun, Except I'm more the goose. I'm the guy that's going to get killed because he's more memorable.
You're right.
So,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. I could say William for sure. But I
yes,
would have.
yeah,
I
would be the
also.
thing to say, dude.
Yeah, he's definitely, and because he's a fellow artist, he is.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of have created our own little, like we have our own way of life now. Like it's a
Yeah.
in my personal life, not my writing life so much, but my personal life is this one little dome, and it has William I and the Four Cats, and so we have our own.
Yeah.
After 20 some years, we've got our whole way of
Yes.
communicating. Unless you're in on it, you wouldn't know.
I mean, I can't even count that high. I just want you to mention William. I'm like, dude, like I'm trying to be nice. And like, shit, man. He's like,
Oh yeah,
guys, well, I'm not going to speak
he,
about my life. Hey, I gut myself all the time. I exploit the shit out of my. I guess everybody should. I'm fucked up. Don't listen to me, but that's okay. No, I mean, that's amazing. That's very beautiful, man. And I just wanted to put that out there. See, I was trying to be nice, dude. Yeah.
oh, thank you. I appreciate the effort.
So, Kevin, I mean, there's so much I think on the horizon and a lot of great stuff. I do keep hoping. Dude, I'm going to annoy you about Fearless. I think there's a lot of writers that would benefit from being in there. Um,
All right,
and
I had.
if they don't know how great it is, they're idiots. So, that's my opinion.
I promise you'll be the first to know.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm hoping I'm the first rejected. That would make me happy. But no.
I don't think. I don't think.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being off the wagon and tolerating my bullshit on the
Yes,
first episode back. I hope you had a good time.
yes, thank you. I had a great time. It was great to talk about my work. We don't, we don't get many chances, so I appreciate that. And yeah, thanks. It was really fun, and I'll definitely start. We're going to start having regular conversations again too, because I'm actually going to get a phone instead of just a tablet. So
That would be nice if you joined the modern era there, Barney Rubble. I'm just saying. But me and you are kind of the same, man. I'm not, I do tech shit, but I'm not like technical. People don't get it. I'm just like Rain Man. I'm just, I just have this kind of, I can't say it, I'll get in trouble, but I have an idiot savant's way of doing art. I'm just managed to do it somehow. I just don't know how. But I'm going to get in trouble for that. Like I give a shit. Like also that's going to hurt my, love life. I mean, I'm just saying. But a lot of people don't know. My fiance died, and so if they want to give me, I mean, if they want to comfort me, I will send you my address. Just write me in private. Um,
send
anyway,
gifts. Send
yeah,
gifts.
and send a pic first. So, God damn it, I have standards. Not really. I'm a whore. Anyways,
Exactly.
Kevin, I salute you, brother, and thank you for being on the show. And yeah, just thank you for being you, man. You're an excellent writer. Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. Hey, thanks. Back at you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, brother. And thank you all
Uh,
for listening. Adios,
okay.
amigos.